Huh. Well, pretty sure I'm live. Let me see. Jeannie Walters just replied to the finale of my Nebraska series video. She says, "You are most welcome. Thank you, Derek." Okay, cool, cool. I just told her thank you for watching. That's not what it's called. Ooh, doggy. All right, well. Second time I've ever streamed, and the first time was like 2 months ago. I forgot how to do it already. Cool, this is going to be great. Here we go. Stream health is excellent. That's good to see. Analytics. All right. 3 seconds of one person. I think that's me, just making sure I'm live. Stream settings are looking aight, babies. Okay. Hey, man, you know what? I'm just going to switch over to my recording software and just start recording. If you pop in, leave me a comment in the chat. Say, hey. I'll check back every now and then just to see if you're chatting or not. All right, here we go. Yeah, we'll just put that on there for now. All right, everybody. I think this is my second ever live stream. I've forgotten how to do it since the last one I did was like 2 months ago, but we are figuring this out as we go. If you're in here and you're checking it out, leave a comment in the chat. I'm here. We're doing the thing. I'm going to read some stories live. You'll hear these stories later in another video, but you get to listen to me stumble over them now. Sounds cool, right? Let's do this. I think the first thing I want to do is share the stream. So let me get on that now. I'm shooting over to Twitter. All right, cool. Just share the stream. All right, cool. Gonna be doing a Japanese story. It's called Midnight Snack by somebody called Beardify on Reddit. It's from No Sleep. Got full permission to read the story, so we are doing this thing. Here we go. I'm gonna hit record on my software and stream at the same time. Let's do this. You'll hear me like mumble the couple of paragraphs at a time, and then I'll actually record the actual stuff here. But this is kind of my process, and I'm going to check back with the chat every now and then, see how everybody's doing, and interact. But let's get some stories laid out here. The events in this story happened to me in 2014 when I was living and working in rural Japan, but they still keep me awake at night. These are sights, sounds, and feelings that take me right back. A nocturnal, you know what? These are so These are spaced so far apart, I can probably read them without... Let's just do this thing. Here we go, babies. The events in this story... Oh, hold on. Already messed up. Alright. So, check this out. The events in this story happened to me... The events in this story happened to me in 2014 when I was living and working in rural Japan, but they still keep me awake at night today. There are sights, sounds, and feelings that take me right back. A nocturnal animal scurrying just out of sight. Faint laughter with no clear source. A sudden strange smell that comes out of nowhere in the dark. These things remind me, These things remind me that all this light and civilization is as thin as a corpse's skin, and if you peel it back, who knows what nightmarish things you might find gnawing underneath. When I made that mistake, I was teaching English in a town with fewer than 3,000 inhabitants, nestled in the mountains of a humid river valley. It could only be at times, but was... starting over. It could be lonely at times, but it was also a wonderful experience. Riding my bicycle through the fields at twilight, following cobwebbed trails to abandoned shrines, and sharing rice wine with my wizened, friendly neighbors. The biggest problem came from within. I never fully adjusted to the new time zone, and insomnia plagued me for the duration of my stay. I just couldn't find a good sleep schedule. Arriving home after my final class, I'd doze on the sun-warmed tatami mats until the long, cold shadows of twilight crept into the room. I'd usually nod off again just before dawn, then wake up and do it all over again. Alright, that's enough of a pass for now. Checking the chat. Still a little bit empty. That's cool. We're going to keep doing the thing. A nocturnal animal scurrying just out of sight. The events in this story happened to me 24. The events in this story happened... These things remind me all this light and civilization is as thin as a corpse's skin, and if you peel it back, starting over. At times, but was it could only be at times, but was also a wonderful experience. Riding my bicycle through the fields at twilight, following cobwebbed trails to abandoned shrines, and insomnia my stay. I just couldn't find a good sleep schedule. Arriving home after my final class, I'm going to leave a little message in the chat saying hello to anybody that happens to pop by. Alright, cool. Hello and welcome. I'm streaming a live recording of a video, and I hope you enjoyed the process. And then I said leave her a comment to say hi. Should have been leave. Can I edit that? Yeah, I can remove it. I'll just say leave a comment Oh, come on. Comment to say hi. Boom. All right, then. Back to the recording bit. Here we go. Usually nod off again just before dawn, then wake up and do it all over again. I kept one routine. My nightly trip to the 24-hour Combini gas station along the main highway. I'd hop on my bike around midnight and pedal out into a dark, surreal world of croaking frogs and black river water glittering in the yellowish streetlight. Yellowish, damn. Surreal world of croaking frogs and black river water glittering in the yellowish street lamp light. Sometimes it felt like the scrawny teenage shop attendant and I were the last people awake in the world. I'd buy some snacks, flip through the magazines, and make a little small talk before riding off home, until I experienced something that changed my routine forever. That night, my afternoon nap had stretched until about 2 a.m., and I awoke ravenously hungry. As I rummaged through my rented home in search of food, I had an awful feeling that I'd missed something important and irreplaceable, and nothing would ever be the same again. The cool night air and the familiar lights of the Combini relaxed me as I rode into the empty parking lot. As I approached the door, I noticed there was no attendant inside. Behind the Combini, a car door slammed. I crept around the side of the building, not sure why I felt the need to be stealthy. All right, that's enough of the story. Let me do some edits. In the yellowish streetlight, yellowish, surreal world of croaking frogs, surreal world of croaking frogs and black bark, surreal world of croaking frogs. My afternoon nap. That night, my afternoon, that night, my afternoon nap until about 2 a.m. and I awoke ravenously hungry. As I rummaged through my rented home. Okay. Oh, Miss Creepy Tails is saying hello. Hey, what's up, Miss Creepy Tails? Hello, MCT. I'm very happy you're here. Thank you. Hey, thanks again, man. It was so cool having you say hi to me and then like reach out, and I love that we ended up working together. Thank you again, Miss Creepy Tails. Always appreciate you. Flipping back over to the recording studio. You know what? If there's nothing personally revealing about me in the recording studio, I might just turn that on so you guys can see what it is the heck I'm doing. I don't. Derek Weber, do. Nah, man. Yeah, let's give that a shot. See how that goes. Yeah, how's that? Let me check the live stream, make sure we do an ite. It actually worked. All right, cool. I'm in love with this. This is fun so far. Miss Creepy Tail says, just listening while waiting for class. Oh, cool. And then she says, sure. Looking forward to working with you again soon. Oh, yeah, I got to have you on my channel next. All right, cool. Uh-oh. Am I supposed to show this part? Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, no sweat. That's cool. Okay. I'm not revealing anything. All right, I'm going to keep on reading the story. MCT, I hope your class goes well. I crept around the side of the building, not sure why I felt the need to be stealthy. Around back, 4 men stood between a dumpster and a black Mercedes. One was a Combini attendant with a single gold earring and spiked hair who I didn't recognize. I figured he was on the late shift. He wore rubber gloves and was messing with something in the car trunk. 2 of the other men had on dark suits and sunglasses, even though it was night, and they were whispering angrily at a third who looked hastily dressed in an untucked gray shirt and a loose necktie. Even with my low level of Japanese, I could tell they were berating him about damage to some merchandise. The attendant heaved the first trash bag out of the car trunk, revealing what was inside. A plastic tarp soaked in blood. A girl's corpse chopped apart messily. I clutched my mouth to hold back vomit or scream, or both. Fear froze me in place as I watched the attendant drop bag after bag of what used to be a person like me into the Combini dumpster. When it was all over, the attendant threw away his gloves and accepted an envelope from one of the dark-suited men who shoved the disheveled buyer into the car. As their headlights sprang to life, I pressed myself up against the cold brick wall, praying that the beams would miss me. I shut my eyes as the black Mercedes rumbled by, seemingly oblivious to my presence. The attendant locked the back door as he returned to his post. I'll do that again. The attendant locked the back door as he returned to his post, and I was left panting in the darkness. And that's enough of a pass to edit a little bit. I'll do that again. The attendant locked as he returned to his post. The attendant locked the back door as he returned to his post, and I was left panting in the darkness. This is fun, man. MCT says, I will be lowering the volume because class will start now, but I'll stay in the stream to help. Oh, cool. Do live chats help with watch time? I'm letting you know I can't hear you from now on. That's cool. Yo, Miss Creepy Tales, you are the absolute best, man. Thank you. That's something, as a new YouTuber, I've never even considered. I just thought streaming was like fun. I thought it was like a way to like bring attention to your channel and just hang out with people that want to hang out with you, man. If it actually counts for watch time, that would make a lot of sense. Cool. More on that later. Look at my project so far. I've got one Japanese story there, and then I'm working on the second one here. If you're just joining me, welcome. Happy to have you here. I think I'm going to throw 3 Japanese stories in this one, maybe just 2, depending, because it's already at 18 minutes and I've got more to go. So this one might just be a 2. Maybe I'll go all out, man. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass right now. But I'm going to keep on reading this story. Follow with me. And I was left panting in the darkness. Had I made it? I thought I was alone at last, when a pair of eyes like golden lamps sprang open on the forested hill across from me, and some night animal, a fox maybe, made a loud exit to the undergrowth. I must have gasped. That's a hard word. I must have gasped because I heard the Combini attendant grunt angrily and grab something. His footsteps rushing for the front door. I kicked over a box of recycled bottles. I kicked over a box of recycled bottles for added chaos. Then I bolted for my bike. As I pedaled for my life, I risked one backwards glance. The beefy attendant was standing silhouetted by the Combini lights, a huge meat cleaver in his hand. The right thing would have been to call the police immediately. If I had, I may have been spared the strange events. Shit. I may have been spared the strange events that followed, or I, too, might have disappeared into several black bags. It's difficult to know how far the consequences of action or inaction can lead. I needed time to process what I'd seen, to drink water, to plan what to say. By the time I finished, dawn had turned the rice fields a misty shade of blue. I called the principal of my school and asked if she could request that a police officer meet me before school started. She was worried. She agreed. Again, that's enough of a bit for now. Let's edit a little bit. I must have gasped. That's a hard word. I must have gasped because I heard the... I must have gasped. That is a hard word, man. I'm gonna give myself a pass for that. I must have gasped. Made a loud exit to the undergrowth. I must have gasped because I heard the convenience attendant grunt angrily and grab... Shit. I kicked over a box of recycled bottles that headed chaos. Then I bolted for my bike. As I pedaled for my life, I may have been spared the strange events that followed, or I, too, I may have been spared... If I had, I may have been spared the strange events that followed, or I, too... I feel like I'm going a little bit fast, but it's cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm nervous. This is it's my second stream actually reading stories live, and I just want it to be good, man. We'll keep going. Not a great streamer, but we're doing the thing. Here we go. She was worried. She agreed. The officer was waiting for me when I arrived. Without his rumpled gray shirt, loose necktie, and a hacked-apart corpse nearby, I almost didn't recognize him. My words choked in my throat as he smiled and bowed. The officer/killer addressed me in the most polite way possible, but I knew he'd seen my initial reaction. The story I stammered about foxes getting into my trash was as fake as his smile, and he knew it. His gaze coolly probed for weakness, and the more he questioned me, the more I was sure that somehow he knew. When our muddled, awkward conversation finally ended, he gave me another smile and promised to keep an eye on me. Listening to the footsteps of his polished black shoes echoing ominously down the school corridor, it sounded more like a threat than a promise. I rushed back to the dumpster as soon as I could, but it was too late. The body was gone. They would get away with it. They would get away with it. There would never be justice for that poor girl, and more would probably follow in her path. Why hadn't I checked the license plate number of the black Mercedes, or called the police immediately? Bitter thoughts formed an ugly gray veil between me and the rest of the world, and it took me a long time to notice the golden eyes observing me from the other side of the riverbank as I trudged gloomily home. It was twilight when I arrived, but not so dark that I didn't see the figure waiting in the shadows of my porch. The last rays of light caught the shiny buttons on his police uniform. I stopped, turned on my heel, and headed back the way I came. I didn't think about how exposed I'd be down by the riverbank. I didn't think about the lack of light down there, or the tall grass that could hide a body. I didn't think about how if you wanted to make sure someone never talked, that was the perfect place to do it. Like a hunted fox, I panicked and I fled. I couldn't see my pursuer in the deepening darkness, but I could hear their footsteps. I was walking fast rather than running, captive to the childish belief that if I didn't run, the person chasing me wouldn't either. Yet, the further I walked along the riverbank pathway that led away from town and back toward the highway, the closer those footsteps seemed to get. The darkness under the bridge ahead was as black as an open grave, and I'd never felt more trapped or alone. The wind in the waist-high grass seemed to be whispering that I was going to die here, and that my family and my friends would never know what happened. The footsteps were so close. If I turned around. Instead, I screamed and ran like mad under the bridge. My pursuer gave chase. Halfway through the inky blackness beneath the bridge, something happened that I still can't explain. Well, I think that was the longest pass of a story I've ever done in one take. Not bad, though. I am going to find my edit marks. There's one here. They would get away with it. They would get away with it. There would never be justice for that poor girl, and more would probably follow in her path. There's another one right here. I'd be down by the riverbank. I didn't think about the lack of light down there, or I didn't think about how exposed I'd be down by the riverbank. I'd be down. I didn't think about the lack of light down there. I didn't. Oh. So much for making it easy for myself. All right, so there's that. Fast forwarding. Dude, was that all? Only fucked up a few times. Cool. All right then. Gonna take a pause and check the chat. Everybody, hang with me for a second. Cool. Nothing incredibly new at the moment. Awesome. Okay. We are fast forwarding, dude. Let's do this. Through the inky blackness. I'm pulling up the story again. Here we go. Halfway through the inky blackness beneath the bridge, something happened that I still can't explain. I saw myself on the other side of the river, just beyond the dark underpass. This version of me looked as if it had run through the river, which wasn't deeper than knee height at any point, and he seemed to glow faintly. This vision was so shocking that I stopped running. But the footsteps behind me, they didn't. They sloshed into the river where they seemed to struggle, thrash, and then they stopped. A horrible smell filled my nostrils, a mix of dirty, wet hair, seaweed, and rotting fish. I slowly backed away toward the light as the ominous smell was followed by an even more frightening sound. Something was gnawing on bone. Beyond the bridge underpass, I panted, and I waited. It wasn't long before I saw bright gold buttons on the tattered remains of a police uniform floating away down the river. For several weeks, the whole town was abuzz. Dry throat. For several weeks, the whole town was abuzz with gossip about the missing police officer. Something told me it wouldn't be long before the men in the black Mercedes came by to figure out exactly where he'd gone. The circumstances around me were strange and frightening, but I felt like I actually had a chance to bring the killers to justice. There was something more as well. I had seen or heard the golden-eyed animal at least once a day since the incident at the bridge. It was like it was following me, willing me to do something. I'd long since stopped thinking of it as an ordinary animal and the last thing I wanted to do was make it angry. That was why, despite the panic that rose in my chest every time I saw it, I began staking out the Combini at night. Oh, I began staking out the Combini at night. The routine was fairly normal. The buff, spiky-haired attendant would show up nightly and appear to carry out a normal, boring night shift, until I looked more closely. Sometimes, a customer would buy a random item with a large amount of cash and receive a little packet under the counter instead of change. Girls in party clothes would spend far too much time in the Combini restroom and leave wobbling on their heels. Nervous, single men would enter, pay, and receive a key, probably to a room at the local Love Hotel. The attendant looked more on edge than the last time I'd seen him calmly hacking up a corpse, but otherwise it looked like the racket was thriving. Alright, that's a good pass there. Gonna scroll back and look for any edits that I made for myself. Here's one. For several weeks, the whole town was abuzz with Gossin and the black Mercedes came by to figure out exactly where he'd gone. The circumstances around me. There's another one here. I began staking out the Combini at night. Oh God. Yeah. Oh jeez. You ever hear your voice play back and you're like, oh, I forgot what I sounded like for half a second, and then you're like instantly reminded of how bad you think your voice is? I know I can't be the only one. Let me know if you are the same way. Cool. Kiana C's in the chat. Hello. Heard you on Let's Read's video. Cool to see the process. Wish I could stay up. We'll definitely be checking out your channel. Kiana, thank you so much, man. That's cool. Let's Read, or I guess Joel, is such a cool dude. We've been chatting back and forth ever since that video came out, and he is legit an awesome guy. I wish I could, like, talk to him 24/7 without bugging him. Always something to learn from him. Nice to have you, Kiana. Looks like I'm going to check you out later. Alright, going back to the story. I don't remember where I left off. Okay, otherwise it looked like the racket was thriving. That's what he said. Alright. One night, I thought I had a perfect opportunity. The attendant ate a spicy tuna roll, and from the look on his face and my own prior experience, I knew he was about to spend a long time in the restroom. Enough time to dash in, grab the bell to keep it from ringing, and snag whatever evidence the guy had stashed in the bottom drawer by the cash register. I was just about to slip behind the desk when the bathroom door stepped open and the attendant stepped out. He'd just been washing his hands. I froze. For a few moments, we stared each other down. "You're cute," he said in casual Japanese, for a foreigner. He didn't recognize me, but I didn't feel any safer. He was coming toward me, fast, and his smell of stale sweat and body spray was soon way too close for comfort. I was backed against the counter with nowhere to go. Flirting badly and aggressively, he told me he knew some guys who could get me the job of my dreams. As his heavy, gold-ringed hand closed over mine, I wondered how many people he'd killed with it. Someone giggled outside, and the attendant spun away from me. There was a girl in the parking lot, just beyond the glow of the nearest streetlight. Even from this distance, she had a kind of radiant beauty that caught my breath and made it hard to look away. "That's my friend," I lied quickly. "Gotta go." I squirmed away toward the door, but I should have known I wouldn't be getting away that easily. The attendant followed me. "Your friend, huh?" He hissed threateningly in my ear. "You better introduce me." He waited for an answer. Oh, he didn't wait for an answer, just shouldered past me and toward the girl. When he was almost close enough to touch her, she changed. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like her features melted away, leaving blank skin where there should have been a face. One of her hands extended and reached towards the attendant's chin like a multi-jointed spider's claw. He screamed and took off running for the bend in the mountain road up ahead, the monster fast on his heels. Looking at the story, we've got literally like 3 paragraphs left, but let me just edit what I have so far. Instead, whatever evidence the guy had stashed in the bottom drawer by the cash register. I was just about to slip behind the desk when the bathroom door stepped open and the attendant, he'd just been washing his hands. I froze for a few. I'm just kind of eyeballing the spaces between the phrases here. If you go back and listen to it, it sounds like this. He'd just been washing his hands. I froze for a few moments. If the gaps feel longer than what you think they might should, it's all good. I'm not going to sweat it because underneath these stories is going to be like this lo-fi backing track. I've been really into making the lo-fi reads lately. It's you just read like scary stories on top of lo-fi beats, and it's all good. Hopefully you like it. Going to continue editing real quick, and then I'll check the chat. Soon, and his smell and body spray was soon, and his smell of stale sweat and body spray was soon way too close for comfort. I was backed against the counter with nowhere to go, flirting badly and aggressively. He told, even from this distance, made it hard to look away. "That's my friend," I lied quickly. "Gotta go." I squirmed away. He waited for an answer. Oh, he didn't wait for an answer, girl. When he was almost close enough to touch her, she changed. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like her features. All right. Cool. All right, 3 paragraphs left, and then this story is a wrap. Screamed and took off running for the bend of the mountain road. The monster fast on his heels. The attendant was in the middle of the road when the headlights of the black Mercedes whipped around the curve, way over the speed limit and much too fast to stop. For a brief moment, they illuminated a pair of glowing golden eyes where the monster had been. Tires squealed and swerved as the car slammed into the mountain cliff. The medical team later said that the attendant in the road was killed on impact. The 2 mid-ranking Yakuza in the vehicle were not wearing seatbelts and were flung from the vehicle. The gashes that severed their throats were unusual, but not inconsistent with injuries from similar accidents. Their deaths exposed a ring of drug dealers and human traffickers who used the 24-hour Combini locations as drop-off points for their illicit business. I left Japan not long after, and I never saw the golden-eyed animal ever again. More than just the traumatic events I'd seen, I feared what that entity might expect me to do next. It had saved my life, however, more than once, and I wanted to pay it back somehow. That's why, before I left, I paid the new Combini attendant a hefty sum to always leave the leftover food uncovered out back along the mountainside. When I spoke to him again, he told me it always disappears by morning. Ooh, I got chills a little bit after that one. That was fun. What a good story. Editing process. Engage. And human traffickers who used their deaths exposed a ring. Their deaths exposed a ring of drug dealers and human traffickers who used the 24-hour convenience. Drug dealers. Drug dealers. I don't know why I said it that way, but it's all good. Out back along the mountainside. When I spoke to him again, he told me it always disappears by morning. Cool. At the beginning of not every story, but at least every story in the beginning of the video, I always kick it off by saying, all right, so check this out. I record that line at the beginning of every story, and I just pick the best story from that compilation to put at the beginning of the video. That way you only hear, all right, so check this out once at the beginning and not before every single story. Yeah, that makes sense. If it, just rewind it a little bit if it doesn't make sense, but it does. I think the story is oh, dude, I don't know which story's better, to be honest. Gonna take a pause to check the chat. Awesome. Nothing incredibly new going on, so it's cool. Man, we are at, I'm just gonna guesstimate 29 minutes, give or take an outro. I think I'm gonna stop it here, man. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Happy with it. So now what I'm gonna do is I've got to go find some copyright-free, Japanese-flavored lo-fi music. That's a mouthful. I had to remember what the heck I'm looking for. I know what's out there. I've seen it before. I just got to go find a way to get it. No royalties, no copyrights. I just don't want any strikes on the channel, and I don't want to, appear like I'm stealing somebody else's work or something. So, dudes, I think this is it, man. I'm going to let everybody go now. Thank you for joining me. MCT says, still here, just lurking. All good. MCT, God. Man, every time your name pops up in my notifications, I get like I do the happy dance. You know what I mean? It's all good. All right, well, stream is going to be over because all I have left to do is add music. That's the boring part. But before I go, one more thing. You can be whoever